And welcome back to the Firearms Nation podcast. And yes, we are going live here again at the Firearms Nation headquarters. I am very excited to be here with you again tonight. And tonight, boy, do we have a treat. A good friend of the nation is back on the show, and that, of course, is Shannon Smith. He's been, I don't know on how many podcasts, and he was also part of the Shooter Summit, and he's a local Florida guy, so we really appreciate that. And if you don't know who Shannon is, he is a multi-division Grandmaster shooter. He is a former Army Ranger special operations guy who got into competitive shooting. I don't want to go too much into his background because it's top secret. No, I'm kidding. Because you can listen to any of the other shows and get the same thing. But if you're new to this, he also is a member of the U.S. World Shoot Team 3 times, I believe. I can't remember. I think it was 2 or 3 times. I should know this, right, if I am the host. And he is he's a national champion. He's a Florida State champion. He is a steel champion and all-around good dude. So without further ado, Shannon, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Eric. Always awesome to be here, man. I appreciate everything you do for the sports. And like you said, I've been on your show a lot, and it's done a lot for me. I appreciate the publicity and appreciate your friendship, and always happy to be here. Anytime it's good for you and good for me.
Well, I was very excited to see your association with SIG, and we're going to talk about that. But you were posting all the stuff about their new Shoot Sig match, and I can't wait to ask you questions on that. I was kind of disappointed that I wasn't able to go up and shoot it for the inaugural match, but we'll get into that. But first and foremost, I know you're a bourbon guy. What is your bourbon of choice?
To be honest, I'm an Irish whiskey guy, so I'm a Jameson's dude. But
Jameson's, oh my God!
But I do like bourbons. A really good buddy of mine is a way crazy bourbon aficionado, and he's learned me a lot over the years. We actually, with the motorcycle club I'm in, we actually had our own custom bourbon made, which was 2 years ago because ages for 2 years, and they actually had us up, and we like literally ground the mash and or ground the grain, made the mash, and the dude was super awesome. Distillery in Orlando, and I thought it was going to be like pour this thing in and give it 2 stirs and get the hell out of my face. But the dude was super awesome. We spent like 4 hours, 5 hours there. He showed us the whole process, and so I've learned more about bourbon. But in the end, I'm a redheaded Irish boy named Shannon, so I like Jameson's.
And for the folks that are tuning into the live show, I just preface it that the wonders and the magicalness of the internet allows for sometimes Shannon will freeze up. Just bear with us. If you ever saw, and I'm probably dating myself a little bit, I know it's a good sci-fi movie, 2001. The last chapter of the movie when he's going through the star, I can't remember what they called it, but it was the black hole essentially. And it's like all this crazy graphics and then some crazy picture of him, the astronaut Dave, in some horrible contorted face. That's exactly what happens.
Like the crappy graphics.
Yes, exactly. But hey, that's a live show, and we're going to go forward with it. Those of you who listen to the audio podcast, you're thinking I'm crazy, but that's okay. So Irish whiskey. I gotta look at the bottle of Irish whiskey that I have. I think I have Jameson's because that's a very common brand. But I wish there was a way in my house. I haven't figured it out yet. I know they make these like vents, but I would love to just sit and do one of these with a bourbon and a cigar. I think that would be a special kind of show where we're talking with some cigars.
That's the way I used to do my podcast back when I had them before I got lazy and quit. But I'd sit outside on the porch and do them out there with a little bourbon cigar and nice little break for an hour.
Yes, but it's just I know the wife would kill me if I was starting to smoke cigars in the office and the smoke was getting out there. open the window, but then I get all the sound coming in from outside. So unfortunately, I got to wait until after the show to do that. But you're doing new stuff. Did you move? You seem like you're in the same house. So you're still in the same location, undisclosed for personal reasons, but you're still in the same place, correct?
Yep, same spot, Central Florida, same house, and working remotely, basically traveling a lot, but working remotely for SIG.
Okay, so yes. So now, the last time I talked to you, you said you were doing some stuff for SIG, but now you're full on, knee deep in 6 Hour, correct?
Correct. It was kind of sort of a secret, not really, but I've been with the 6 Hour Academy for 2 years since I left Universal, working for them, which has been an amazing experience. They've brought me in on a number of occasions to New Hampshire for the academy to work on special events with some special people. Their instructors are amazing. Like I'm honored that they have me come in there and do some stuff, but their folks are super qualified to do anything. And I think sometimes they think that I'm a treat, maybe because I'm more a competitive guy, because their instructors maybe aren't as competitive based, but that has nothing to do with quality. Their guys are super capable and solid at everything. So I've been there a couple of years, and came up with this harebrained idea along with Daniel Horner, and we've been working on that for a long time, a long time. Working on that for probably 14 months now. And it's come to fruition, and after a lot of work with a lot of great people and getting involved. And so now I've shifted to the corporate side. So I'm a corporate employee with 6 Hour, but still hope to work with the academy when time and availability works, because they're a great group of people to work with, and I still love teaching shooting.
And you just said you were now part of the corporate. What exactly are you doing for corporate?
So they're like 6 Hour Academy. Technically, I guess I think I'm speaking correctly, is a different company, even though 6 Hour, 6 Hour, it's still under the same umbrella. But in the corporate world, so we've launched a program called Shoot Sig, which I'm sure we're here to talk about. And I'm the competition manager for that program. And it's just a lateral administrative shift from where my 401k goes to, I guess, however that works. But just a shift in logistics, but same company, just doing different work.
And so that means now they provide you benefits, correct?
Yeah, I'm full employee now, and I was an adjunct instructor with the academy, and now I'm a full employee with 6 Hour Incorporated.
That's awesome. And I mean, I'm of course, I love all guns equally and universally. Um, but with that disclaimer, like your shirt says, I shoot SIG. I've shot SIG now since 2014 when they were first doing the 320, and I was fortunate enough to Bruce Gray called me up and said, "Hey, do you want to test out this gun and shoot competitively with SIG?" And I was like, "Hell yeah!" And I just fell in love with the gun, and I just re-upped my armor certificate for the 320. I think it's a great platform, but nothing against all the other guns because they're all great, despite what Joe Biden says. So,
No,
okay.
it's a good platform, man. And I mean, you know me, and I know you, and I shot Glocks for 20 years, and I like them, and it's a fantastic firearm. Very very few faults, but the SIG 320 platform was built by a competitor with engineers in tandem, and it shows. It's a better for what we do, especially for competitors. For what we do, it's just better, and ergonomically, it's a better platform. And I think that's the difference. And again, I'm not in the engineering background by any means, but I know the guys that were with 6 Hour, and the guys that were involved from the ground floor were shooters, and they worked with the engineers and said, "Hey, here's the rule book for USPSA, and here's what we can do, and let's do within that realm to make it better platform." And it's a better platform. And I've done everything I can do to my competitive gun. and with a tungsten guide rod and a tungsten grip slug, and it always has a tungsten grip. And it's if I were in law enforcement, for example, like you, it's my personal competition gun is not something I would want to carry around from my hip for 20 years because I've made it as heavy as possible. But the nice thing about the 320 is you don't have to do that. You can keep it as light as possible too. So it just all the thought process was put in to make it the best platform, I think, for all applications, from tactical world to the competition world.
And the world being a big place, I know there's tons of haters out there as well. But like I said, I love all guns. I'm just partial to one gun because that's what I compete with, and that's what I carry on duty currently. Before we get into the Shoot Sig stuff, the last time you were on, which was about a year ago, you were doing stuff for USPSA. You were being used for your match designing skills and your match running skills because for many years you did that at Universal Shooting Academy. You still have that association, or are you just full time now working the SIG stuff?
Yep, as available. So my employment contract allows me to do what I can as long as it doesn't compete or interfere with what I'm doing. So, like Carry Optics Nationals, for example, this year, Sig Sauer is the primary sponsor of the match, and Shoot Sig is doing a full Shoot Sig event at the match as a side match, if you will, because we're the sponsor. So I'm going to be in town, since I'm going to be there anyway. I'm going to be in town early working with USPSA and some of the stage design and stage setup. I won't be working in my normal match director assistant position during the match because I'll be running the Shoot Sig event. So kind of yes and no. I'll do that when I can. I'm available to contract when I can, but Shoot Sig comes first, and that's what I'm here to do.
When you left Universal, did you know that you were going to be doing this? I mean, that's got to be kind of scary because you've been doing that for many, many years, and now you're going off. I know you had some projects, and we talked about that when you first left. But did you know that you would end up at SIG? I mean, it's got to be pretty frightening.
Yeah, no. I mean, change is always scary, right? But I don't remember if Sylvester Stallone. There was a movie quote somewhere that said, "Everything ends badly, otherwise it wouldn't end." So, the Universal thing came to an end, and it is what it is. And I don't know if a backup plan is the right word, but I was always going to go back out and teach on my own. I mean, I always had that drive and desire to teach, and people that wanted me to teach them. So contacts throughout my years of teaching that worked. Max Michelle with Sig Sauer has always been a great friend of mine and a great advocate, and always pushing for me, which I really appreciate. So he was the one that got me in with the Academy with SIG. So basically right after I left Universal, I immediately started with the Academy, which wasn't a ton of work, but I just wanted to be involved with what I always call SIG, that they're on the world domination tour. And with the military contracts they've got and the civilian contracts they're working on and law enforcement, they're just ammunition and optics, and they're taking over everything. So I figured, like, if nothing else, get in with these guys and see what happens. And so working with the Academy was awesome, and that allowed me to teach on my own also, as well as teaching with the Academy. And to be totally truthful, I always just thought, well, I got a foot in the door, and if something comes down the pipe down the road, then I'll be in position to take charge of it, and then here we are. So
there's some great shooters, obviously. I mean, all the gun manufacturers have good shooting teams, but some of the guys that are associated and gals with SIG are Daniel Horner and Max Michelle, like you mentioned, and Lena Mikulik. And also on the tactical side, you got Kyle Lamb. When I saw Kyle went over there, I said, I know there's something good about this gun if he is being part of that training cadre. Have you got a chance to? I know you were at SHOT Show this past year. I didn't get a chance to go, unfortunately, but did you get a chance to sit down with Kyle?
Yeah, not at SHOT, but we've bumped each other a lot, and so it's kind of a weird so speaking of Kyle, and I'll speak frankly because I'm a fanboy of him, and he I haven't taken many shooting classes in my life, and the one shooting class I've always wanted to take has been with Kyle, but it's just never worked out. Even when I was with Universal, I tried to bring him in there, but timing just never worked schedule wise with both of us. Um, and I have, even though I had not met him at the time, I had friends of friends that actually even in the same unit that he worked in at the time. So we kind of virtually introduced each other, but still just never was able to get together. So it's kind of weird because we felt like we knew each other because we talked multiple times. And years and years ago, I was at the opportunity for a job at SIG that didn't come to fruition. But Kyle had called me at that time and said, "Hey, I heard this and I heard that, and I'm rooting for you." And it just, again, didn't work out, but it was nice to see. It was nice for him to reach out and say that. That was super cool. And then the first time I ever actually met him in person was in New Hampshire at the academy, and we were unknowingly teaching classes at the same time. And I walked down from the elevator in the hotel to walk out to my car with a drag bag and tons of gear, and there he was sitting in the breakfast area eating breakfast, and like we met eyes, and it was so weird. It's like we knew each other, but we'd never met in person. So kind of came up, shook hands, and so since then, it seems like that dude just loves to teach, man, and because he doesn't need to, and he just likes it, and he likes to give back, and he likes to be involved with the community. He likes to teach at the academy. So not every time I've taught there, but damn near every time I've taught there, he's there. So we hang out, we got to dinner and catch up, and so we're kind of friends now. But it was weird, like we were friends before we ever met, and just kindred spirits. That's how kind of that stuff goes.
And so SIG has academy in, they call it SIG South, right down here in Florida.
Yep, they call it the Outpost. So they call it the Florida Outpost, and that's in Volusia County, Florida. And that thing's going gangbusters, man. They're 5-6 days a week, and Gorka Ibanez, who's the owner of the Volusia County Range, is building a new area of the range for them for SIG exclusively. So they have their own spot now, but he's building a section that's kind of separated from the range, although on the same property. So SIG will be able to have their own entrance and their own kind of feel and their own experience. That's a big word with SIG Sauer, experience.
SIG
They're gonna have,
experience.
yeah, they're gonna have their own experience when you come in. It's gonna be all SIG Academy, and it's gonna be cool. It may be a year down the road, but they're looking to they're annexing the land now and starting the permitting process, which is obviously extensive, but it's coming. But yeah, it's good down here, and they also have one in Colorado. They just opened, and they're looking at more. So the academy's killing it, man. They're doing great up there in New Hampshire, and they'll only really handcuff area up there is the weather because they're shut down for 6 or 7 months a year, I think, just because it's feet of snow on the ground. So I don't understand that as a Florida boy, but supposedly it gets snow up there.
Yeah, well, we're certainly blessed in Florida for a variety of reasons. Speaking of Florida, I just want to say this: you've been in the Florida scene for a long time. Remember, it used to be like Arizona was shooting mecca. Everyone wanted to go to Arizona to shoot because they have all these great ranges. They had some great competitors and teachers out there. Seems like Florida has definitely taken over. I know they're still out there, but there's so much going on in Florida. When I first met you, I mean, Florida was, you basically had Universal, and you had St. Augustine, Ancient City, and Punta Gorda, but that was it. Now there's just ranges everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know if I would be so bold to say we've taken over Arizona because that's still a hot spot, and but it's obviously weather driven. The southern states you can shoot year round, so that's obviously a plus. And you see Rob Latham and Brian Enos and Nils Johnson and all those guys coming out of Arizona. The Southeast, if you include Georgia, which brings in the AMU, then we would definitely rival rival anybody in an area for the top shooters in the world. And again, it's just because you can shoot year round. But yeah, for sure. To your point, Florida, Clearwater, the Wyoming Antelope Club of theirs, 4 matches a month, and um, Malabar, Okeechobee's doing amazing stuff. They've really brought that range on board. They're doing tons of matches a month.
Homestead Training Center. Got to give them props.
Yep, Homestead, and my buddy Matt Patel just opened the new
Mm-hmm.
place, Deep
Deep
50.
50. Yep.
That's an amazing range. He's doing more and more and more. Hanson has always been on board, and that when we're only central and south, so now you start going north, there's a whole lot of other opportunities. So yeah, it's awesome to be down here. And when I didn't have to work for a living, I would shoot. I would shoot Saturday and Sunday every week. You go. Titusville doesn't have the match they used to, and Eustis doesn't have the match they used to. But between Titusville and that, and Brooksville and Malabar and Universal, Wyoming, and Hanson, like literally every Friday, every Saturday and Sunday was and it's weird. I don't know if it's a Jesus thing, because the West Coast was like always Saturday, and the East Coast was like, or sorry, got that backwards. East Coast is always Saturday, and the West Coast seemed to always be Sunday. So, you could bounce back and forth and literally shoot 2 matches a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
4 weekends a month, and no coincidence. That's how I got good at stuff, because you could shoot all the time because the weather was good and opportunity was there.
So you're shooting SIG and you're shooting 320 carry optics, correct? Is that your new thing?
Yeah, I love it. Love carry optics. I say love it, but I get my butt beat too, because it's the premier division far and away, and the manufacturers are behind it for obvious reasons, because they have guns that fit it. The pro shooters are behind it because they're shooting for the manufacturers, and your average guy is behind it because the barrier to entry is so low. And we'll talk about this when we get to the Shoot Sig stuff, but the I love open, and that's always going to be my baby doll, but it's a ginormous entry level, or it's a ginormous level to enter that division. You're talking $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 gun and custom made ammo and all the gear to go with it, and it's just not reasonable for any normal person that we're trying to grow. If you're trying to grow the sport, that's not a normal place you're going to push somebody to go. The manufacturers are all making ready-made optic guns now, and optics are reasonable. So you can come in to the most competitive division, the most populated division, with the most competitive gear for the least amount of money ever possible in our game. And you could debate what that number is, but call it $2,000, for gun, optic, mags, gear. That's probably a reasonable number. And that may sound expensive to some folk, but for a hobby, to jump into a hobby from zero, that's not much. That's not much. And you look at skydiving or scuba diving or fishing or golf or whatever, it's right on par. And you're in the most competitive division with the most competitive gear. And that's been the issue with the other divisions over the years. Like, yeah, you could get into limited. Yeah, you could get into open. But with what? You're getting in with I don't want to name manufacturers, but you're getting with a lesser manufacturer gun or a lesser custom level gun in limited or open, and now you gotta make ammo. So I like carry optics because I like to compete, and it sounds weird, but I'm not really a gun guy. Like, I don't really care that much about guns. That's the tool I use to compete, and I like to compete. I like to strive for making a better shot, making a faster shot, making a more accurate shot. Like, that's the aspects of the game that are enticing to me. It's not so much the gun stuff, although I got plenty of guns. And the fact that you can get into it and I can compete against all the, you've seen carry optic nationals. It's crazy. The best guys in the world. And I shot, so to step on my own face for a second, carry optics nationals last year, Uh, I shot, I thought, pretty decent for not a lot of practice, because I've really been hammering down on this Shoot Sig thing for a year, really working hard on it, and haven't devoted some time to practice. But I felt like I shot pretty good, like legit shot pretty good. I finished like 30th. I got beat by dudes I've never heard of. And it's very rare I get beat by dudes I've never heard of. And that just shows you the power of the division. Like, there's guys in Sheboygan that are dry firing 6 hours a night that you never heard their name, and they're killing it out there. And that's cool. Like, that's awesome for the sport, that guys are coming in from nowhere and doing really well. That's going to push the skill set, and it's going to push the division. And again, open, always going to be my favorite. I'm going to try out for the open team for the next World Shoot in South Africa. So I'm going to be pushing more open in the next couple of years. But carry optics is where it's at, man. That's just a kick-ass division.
Okay, so let me bring it out there, since it's a big thing on the internet that the USPSA has, I guess, provisionally put out limited optics. Is that something that you're going to get into?
Yeah. So get into, maybe a strong word, but I support the division. And my personal gunsmith, Derek Janowitz, Millennium Custom, best gunsmith in the history of the universe, has retired. So I don't know how heavy I'll get in that division. Like, I'll find a guy that'll build me a gun. I've got some friends. Eddie Garcia would build me a gun. If I had to have a custom guy as a number 2, as my next guy, that would be him. So it's not something I'm going to put a ton of time into, but I think it's a great idea. I think for multi-gun, like, it's a great idea. It'd be a great gun for multi-gun. And again, that's not the gun that's helping the barrier to entry. So again, your new dude coming off the street is not going to buy a $4,000 or $5,000 limited optics gun. But what it will help is our sponsor base. So you look at Staccato, for example, which was STI, which was our biggest sponsor forever. The whole time I was shooting, they were the biggest sponsor of the Nationals. And for various reasons, they changed hands, and now it's Staccato, which is fine. But now, at this point in time, they don't make a gun that fits in USPSA, period. So limited optics will provide that. So now they'll have a gun that will fit. So a company, and I'm not saying that we'll be back into sponsorship. Hopefully they will. It makes no difference to me. I don't work for USPSA. I hope they do. But they used to be the biggest. Now there's 0. So maybe we can get them back into, some type of level of sponsorship. And then you look at the outlying custom builders, like the Eddie Garcias, like the Akai's. Those guys now have a new breed that they can market to. As much as I love limited, and I was limited national champion, I was a limited lover. I can't see iron sights good enough anymore, so I'm not shooting limited. And 40's fallen away, down off the cliff. So that's, unfortunately, limited is a dying division. So those custom builders don't have that avenue really anymore. So I think limited optics will be a big boon for them to get back into the game, and I think that's good for the game. Bring the big guys back in, bring the little guys back in, give them some avenues to compete. And if I'm getting too far off, shut me up. But as a match director, I used to, and as a competitor, it used to bug me that we had so many divisions. Because when I started, it was open and limited. That was it. I shot my Kimber 45 with 10-round mags in limited, because that was the only option. And so the competition was tight. It was big. There was a lot of dudes. And then we had the L10 and production revolver come in, and in my mind's eye, it diluted the competition. Now we got carry optics and PCC, and that diluted the now we got limited optics. So I had this mindset, and as a master director, I was like, Jesus Christ, now I got to buy trophies for 17 divisions and 27 classes, and it just got annoying. But I think when you get older, you get wiser, or maybe you get dumber. I don't know. But now I think, who cares, man? If a division brings more people into sport, and if more people want to shoot, because who cares? Like, it doesn't hurt anybody. Like, if I have to buy 3 more pieces of wood to give out to somebody, it costs me like $12. Like, who cares? So I've evolved there. I've changed my philosophy on that. And if 27 divisions brings in another 100 people to shoot the sport, that's cool, man. Let's bring people in. Let's get them shooting. Let's get them in the gun culture. And uh, so, long answer to your question. I don't know how involved I'll be in the division, but I will be involved in the division because I think it's a cool gun. And the aforementioned iron sight limited guns I have that I can't see the sights on anymore, I'm going to transition those into limited optics guns. So it'll be good.
Well, maybe somebody from SIG like Phil, who might be watching this or seeing this at some point, would say, you know what, we're gonna come out in 2024 SHOT Show with a limited optic gun. Who knows? That could be in the pipe. Who knows? Who knows? Phil is kind of closely related to USPSA. At one point, I think he was president. It's, maybe, and competed a lot.
He knows what's going on.
Yeah, he does. So let's talk about Shoot Sig. So this is, you said it was part of your brainchild to put this thing together. How did it come about? And wait, for the people who don't know what it is, explain what it is.
Sure. So Shoot Sig is a competition/marketing program to bring competitive shooting to the masses. And we want an avenue where I just bought my first gun. I'm tired of shooting at the indoor range for my 50 rounds. Now what do I do? This is what you do. So low intimidation level of entry, not a lot of ammunition, and not a lot of time. So the time, as you know, I've been shooting in all aspects. I've been directing matches at all levels of competition for 20 years. And the 3 biggest barriers to entry I've seen are I don't have all day to be on the range for like a USPSA match. I can't afford 300 rounds, 500 rounds for a competition, and it's nerve-wracking being in front of all these people, these crazy guns, big courses of fire, running around, etc. I've dealt with those questions for my entire life of shooting, and the answer before has really been like, okay, I feel you, bro. It's just not for everybody, and we wanted to bring in something that is for everybody, and that's where this idea was born. I and the creation is debatable, but it was just really a collaboration of effort of a bunch of people that was interested in making this thing succeed. So working with the Academy, and this story has not been told in public before, so hopefully I get it right and nobody gets mad at me. But in working with the Academy, I was asked to come up and teach a class with some special 3-letter guys alongside of Dan Horner. And Dan Horner is a national champion 3-gun shooter, member of the pro team SIG, member of the Army's AMU, and just all around genius in the firearms world. So I was really excited because I've known him forever on the shooting circuit, but I never worked with him. So I was really looking forward to working with him and in the teaching realm. So we had contacted, and he said, hey, let's go to dinner Sunday night and figure out what the hell we're going to do for the week, because there was no plan. There was no itinerary. We're just going to wing it. I'm like, all right, that's cool. Well, prior to that, I had developed this idea along with some friends of mine. The idea was given to me by a friend of mine, and he said, "Hey, you should do this." And so I kind of started kicking around the idea. I wrote up some ideas, wrote up some rules and some procedures, and I'd sent it to Max Michelle. I'd sent it to Phil Strader. I sent some guys with SIG, and they give me some feedback. But what I didn't have was the ability to get in front of the right people for to really get it looked at. So no, can I say shit?
You already said asshole, so shit should be fine.
All right, so no shit. Dan and I sit down to dinner that night, and we're getting ready to talk about what we're going to do with this class. And he says, "Hey, before we talk about this, I got something I want to run by you." And he legit pitches the same exact thing I'm working on. It was like, I don't know if fade's the thing, but that was it. And I was like, "Say no more, fam." And so I pull up this Word document that I just sent to Max Michelle like 5 days prior. It was still on my iPhone, and slid it across the table. And I was like, "Look at this." And he looks at it. He's like, "Holy cow." And that's kind of how it started. So that was November of 21. So that's been a while ago. And he's like, "All right." He's like, all right. Slow your roll. Let me get this in front of the right people. Let me approach this the right way. And that's kind of how it started. So man, it was a long process. And but we both literally had the same idea of a shooting sport where and even shooting sport makes it sound kind of more intimidating than it should be. Like a shooting activity where anybody can come, and it's as low intimidation as it can be, as simple as it can be. There's no movement, there's no running around, there's no race gun craziness. The scoring is simple, and you win a lot of. We're trying to give away a lot of product, which is why I say, I'm making this up, but I say 90% marketing, 10% competition, because we're here to spread the gospel of SIG, get SIG guns in people's hands. You can show up and shoot with nothing. Like you can show up to the parking lot with nothing. We got eyes, we got ears, we got guns, we got ammo. All we need is cash, and you're in business. And I've been working today. We finished the event on Sunday, and today is Wednesday. So the bulk of my time today was spent organizing the prize stuff, emailing the competitors, because we really didn't have a hard and fast system. We had a loose system, and we were kind of basing it on waiting to see participation, competitors, participation in division, that kind of stuff. So we get all that figured out. We got pretty good system, I think. We got that emailed out, but we're going to take it nationwide. We're working on some contractual stuff, and we get that figured out. I've got a half dozen people in the wings that are waiting to chomping at the bit to get us scheduled, and that's all going to happen within the next week. And then we're going to be blasting stuff nationwide. Have gun will travel, so we got a match in a box. We're going to have it all in the trailer, and we're going to roll it, and that's going to be really the key. Like it's always going to be the feel of Sig Sauer. So we had the atmosphere. Experience is a big word with our company, but we had the demo bay set up with the SIG Academy professionals. So they were there to allow shooters to shoot anything they wanted for free. Come out and test out guns, whatever gun you want. The marketing team was there just for A, enthusiasms, and B, selling swag, t-shirts and hats. And then we had some pro team members there as well. Dan Horner and Lena Micklick were there. So they're, shaking babies and kissing hands and doing all the right stuff to again, spread the atmosphere and the experience of Shoot Sig. And that's what we were looking for.
So how much does it cost do you have to do like an annual membership? is each match cost another certain amount of money? I mean, what are the costs involved in it?
Yep. Hit me one more time because you froze up there in the middle.
Sure. But nobody could see that on my end, so that's good.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
How much does it cost to participate? Is it an annual deal, or do you have to pay each year? I mean, that is an annual deal, but do you have to pay each year, and then is each match cost something?
Yep. Yep. All the above. So annual membership is $50, and then a entry fee for the match is $45. So the annual membership is kind of multi-involved because you get discounts on SIG products, and you get discounts on SIG guns,
And
discounts on the web.
and so fate hit you back because you froze in one of those horrible freezing faces. So it's exactly. So just so the people are listening, right? Because this is the important part that they don't want to miss. It's $50 for the year, and it's $45 for each match.
Correct. And the annual membership, being a member of Shoot Sig, gets you discounts on SIG firearms, 2 guns per year, as well as discounts on the web store of 15% if you shoot a match. So $50 is pretty significant. And if you want a $1,500 scope or a $500 optic, that 15% is a big deal. And then the gun discounts are significant too. You're getting 100 or a couple $100 off a gun. So it's really a no-brainer and you don't have to shoot a match. So if you want to buy a SIG Sauer product in 2023, join Shoot Sig, because for $50 you get some serious discounts off their products. Now to get the 15% in the web store, you do have to have shot a match, but not for the guns. So you can buy 2 guns a year without shooting a match. And then to shoot a competition is $45 for the match, and you're entered into not only performance-based guns but also random-based guns. And we just been working all day. Today's Wednesday after the match. Been working all day on getting the guns out. So we've given away a ton of product, a lot performance-based, but also a lot random-based in optics and firearms for the match this weekend.
So I saw the photos that you posted of the match. Do people bring their own guns, or are they shooting a stock gun that SIG is providing with the ammo that they're providing?
Yes. So you could bring your own firearm, in which case you could shoot your own ammo, or you can use a SIG firearm, in which case you have to shoot SIG's ammo. The match fees are the same. If you're shooting a SIG gun, you do have to purchase SIG ammo, but we've got that as reasonably priced as we can. I mean, it's a little bit more than you could probably make it on your own, but $40 for 9mm. And then the 22 was super cool. Like, that was a really fun division and it was really popular. So $10 for ammo, and you can shoot the SIG 322. I hadn't shot one of those, but I have all the guns. I'm running all that stuff. So I've got 30 guns in my living room right here. But I mounted all the optics and zeroed all the guns, and I hadn't shot the 322 prior. But man, that was a pretty cool little firearm. And the most impressive thing, I have 6 of them, just so we had some backups. They all have dots with the Romeo Zero Elite. So between all 6, I probably fired not a ton of ammo, maybe 60 rounds, 50 rounds. But the coolest thing I thought about that is I had one malfunction in all of that, and that was because I didn't know how to load the mags properly. These particular mags, you need to let them set after each round. You need to let them snap to the top so they have a good set and a good orientation. And one was just a little bit low, and it nosedived in the mag and didn't feed. But outside of that, 6 guns, 60 rounds. If you know anybody that shoots 22 long rifle, they'll attest that that's impressive. That you get that level of reliability out of that level of 6 guns and 60 rounds. So that was cool. So yeah, you can show up. You can show up with nothing, and you can compete. If you got your own thing, you can run that too, and you can shoot multiple times. You know the cool thing, Arik, on Friday of the match, we had 112 competitors, and match capacity is 200 because it's a lower capacity because we're trying to develop the experience thing and not jam it full. But at 112, I was like, that ain't that great. You know, SIG seemed happy, but as a master director, I was thinking that's not where I want to be. But at the end of the day on Sunday, we ended up with 175 entries. So that's 56, 7, 8 some people that finished and said, "Hey, that was cool. I want to go again." And they came back and got in line and went again. So that was a big boost for me to finish to start from almost half capacity and finish at almost full capacity. So I thought that was cool.
Now, what are the stages? I think there's 3 stages, 4 stages, 3 stages.
Yep, 3 stages. Stage 1 is a plate rack. You shoot it 6 plates, typical plate rack. You shoot it 3 times in a row, and they throw out your worst. Stage 2 is a bullseye stage. So we have 5 bullseye targets times 2. So 2 strings of 5 targets, and they get 2 rounds each. So it's 10 rounds per string. So 5 targets, 2 rounds each, 10 rounds per string, and you do that twice. But you get to throw away your worst one there also. So it's a typical bullseye, 6, but it's generous. 6 inches, 11 and 17, and it's add a half, add a 1, add a 1.5 for anything out. So time plus anything that's out there. But we throw away your worst string. So if you tank 1, that goes away. We score your best. Then the last string is kind of a steel challenge-esque stage, but it's 6 targets. So 5, what we're calling white targets and 1 finishing plate. 5 targets shot in any order. The finishing plate you shoot last. Again, there we're best 2 of 3. So you shoot it 3 times, score your best 2. And it's a straight time match. And there's, of course, there's penalties. Like if you miss a plate or something, there's penalties added. But it's a straight time deal, and it's quick, man. Like again, being the first match, the first test event, we had a master level local shooter that was like 15 seconds for the match, and the percentage deal we did with a classification system, it wasn't really a blowout. Like, you know, the last place person was like 20%. So yeah, that's not great, but it wasn't like a crazy like one of our concerns was if you let a competitor come in here and shoot this and your average dude is 0.3%, they might be demoralized, you know. But I don't think that's the case. I really don't, because it's such a short match. There's not enough room to get that gap of skill set. You know, if this was a 20 stage match, yeah, your last place guy is going to be 0.0. But with only 3 stages, you can only get so much gap. And like for example, Dan Horner and I both shot in the Iron Sighted division, and the winner of Iron Sights we both beat, but only by 7%. And we took our scores out because we didn't want to skew the results. And the guy that won is a good close personal friend of mine, super awesome, good master level shooter. But the level of difference wasn't really that much. You know, we're talking a second and a half. Like I think Dan was 15-2. Lee was 16.4 or something. So it wasn't a lot, but as you and I know, like 1 second on 16 is not insignificant. It's a lot, but not really. Not for what we're trying to do. And the bottom line of all this, and we had a briefing with the ROs ahead of time, is this is a marketing event, and it's an enjoyable event for the competitors. There's no Cadillac at the end. There's no overlays. Like, we're here to have fun and safely assist these people through the course of fire and have a good time. And we want everybody coming away saying, holy cow, Shoot Sig is awesome. Like, that's the goal. So, and you and me are competitors. We got to get out of that mindset for something like this. This is a putt-putt golf. Come up, have a good time. When you get done, talk about how great it was, and that's all it's about.
Well, the obvious comparison is going to be GSSF, right? And I know you've shot that in the past and walked away with some guns before in the past. Is that like the end result? Because I know SIG is different. You're saying the SIG experience. I mean, you just go to SHOT Show. They were once part of the day at the range that everyone else goes to. And then they said, we're going to do our own day at the range and make it better. I mean, I've been to both sides of the house, and I got to say, when you go to the SIG day at the range, it's a different experience. It's a lot more fun, a lot better food, and it's
that's
just
the word, man. That's the word. That's the word. Experience.
Yep.
And I was fortunate to. I was up in New Hampshire 2 weeks ago to finish some of my in-processing and some of the technical stuff you have to do as an employee. And I was fortunate to be granted a meeting with our CEO, Ron Cohen, and that's the word he used, and it stuck with me. And experience is the thing. Like, he said, we got the military contracts. Like, we've got that pretty much locked up. We're winning there. We're providing the better product, and they're liking it. We want to focus a little bit more on the hunting side of the world and the civilian. He didn't say competitive, but the civilian shooter side of the world, like the recreational shooter side of the world. And his big thing was 80 million gun owners. Why don't we have 80 million shooters? And that's a deep dive. That's a deep question. And I've got a million answers for it. But the bottom line is, why can't we do better to get some of those people to open up that gun box and come out to the range? And that's where Shoot Sig comes into play. And so in bringing this around the country, we hope with our marketing that we can get more people that may be intimidated by USPSA or IDPA or whatever to come out and play a little bit and get involved. And the experience thing, I don't think I want to be. So your competitor that you mentioned is 55 matches a year. I'm not sure we want to be there. And again, I'm not knocking them at all. I think one of the guys that posted on our social media when this came around, which compared us to them, and it's no secret, man. I'm not hiding that this is where we got the idea. Like, it's not a secret. But I think that the rising tides raises all ships kind of thing. Like, I wish no ill will on anybody in the shooting world, IDPA, NRA, whatever. I wish them all the best. But I think the more people that are involved in competitive shooting or shooting in general, the better for everybody. So that's where we want to be. But Shoot Sig mentality is experience. Better, bigger, stronger. We're going to have the demo. We're going to have a demo bay set up where you can come out and practice or try. different guns, different firearms, armors on site. We can check on your firearms if you feel they're inoperable or whatever. We have embedded ROs with every competitor, with every squad. So you have an RO with you at every squad. So they're explaining how things are going on, where you need to be, how the stage works, and just, again, experience and make things better for everybody. And that's where we hope to differentiate ourselves from the competitors.
Well, I mean, look, in this world, we have Chevys, we have Fords, we have Dodge, and people like different things. But what you can do, like you said, is just try and take your spin on it and see where it goes. And so, I mean, it sounds exciting. I was very happy to see that this was announced originally. And then, of course, even happier to see that you were a major part of it. So for somebody who wants to come and shoot one of these matches, can you give them any tips or any pointers on how to do it?
Yeah, sure.
Don't miss, right? Besides saying that.
Shoot fast, don't miss.
Yes.
So logistically speaking, shootsig.com will guide you to the right spot. We use Practice Score. SIG has taken on a major sponsorship of Practice Score. So all our registration and our membership is run through there. So it's kind of self-explanatory, maybe a little confusing, but if you got any questions, there's contact info on the website that will 100% help you out. So get that established. Check out the schedule. We're going to have, it's light right now, but we've got 100 in the wings that we're just waiting to get scheduled. Just some contractual stuff we're getting figured out. So that's coming super soon, like within a week, super soon. And then there'll be links to schedule or to register for the matches in your area. And then as far as shooting, so keep in mind, like so one of the things I did, Arik, which I think is kind of cool, on Friday of the match, the ROs and staff get to shoot the match for score. We start at like 2. So at 11 we meet, and if they want to, if not mandatory, if they want to, they can do a little shooting course with me. So we did like an hour and a half of shooting course, then a little break for lunch, and then come back, and then did a little briefing on how the match is going to run, how we score it. There's nothing crazy, but get them up to speed on that. But on the shooting course thing, like I just kept it. So I was thinking, like, all right, I got limited range space because we already have the whole match set up. I've got 8 range officers that want to take the course, and I have not set anything up for this. So what the hell do I do? So I was thinking, so this is the first class I've ever given without a target. And I thought it went freaking awesome because nobody understands the level of importance of trigger control and watching the dot or the sight. So we did just basic prep drills and watching the sight drills. So you present the gun out, shoot one only, and the goal of the drill is to watch how the dot returns to the spot that you're looking, or watch how the sight returns to the spot that you're looking. So that was kind of cool. So we did an hour and a half of that. But for the normal dude, sign up, and then your squad. So this is the biggest thing, the biggest compliment, and the biggest unique thing we have to the match is your squad number is your start time. So if you sign up for 10 a.m. squad 10 a.m. 10:00, that's the time you start. If you have your kid's soccer at 9 a.m. on Saturday, you can pick 3 p.m. on Saturday and show up then. And you only have to show up 15 minutes prior to your start time, and you're good. And the whole match takes an hour, tops, 45 minutes. And of all the AAR stuff we got for the match, that was the biggest compliment, because you don't have to be at a range all day long to shoot 70 rounds or 80 rounds or whatever it is. And if you want to shoot a lot, sweet. Sign up for 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 2 p.m., whatever. You can shoot all you want. You just have to schedule your time so you have at least an hour in between each spot. And I think that was the biggest compliment to what we had. Again, we have the guns on site. We have the ammo on site. So if you have a SIG gun you want to shoot, cool. If you have a SIG gun you want to try out that you don't have, also cool. You can shoot that at the site, on site as well.
But you really didn't give any tips on how to shoot the match better. I know that's what people want to hear.
All right. So yeah, I got distracted in my course content. The thing I always preach in classes is speed, speed, speed. USPSA, tactical life, whatever, speed is king. Shoot SIG, not so much. So the penalties in Shoot SIG are extreme. So if you leave a plate, for example, on a plate reticle, it's a 5-second penalty. On the bullseye stage, if you have a shot off the paper, which we don't hope we have, that's 5 seconds. But even if you got an errant shot, it's 1.5, which is a lot. And then on the DH3 stage, which is the steel challenge looking stage, you're not going to probably leave a miss there because the rings are so loud. You'll make it up. But if you have to make it up, you're looking at 0.7, 0.8 to go make a makeup. So the point of all that is, misses are very penal. It's very difficult to make up that time. So even though I'm a guy that would normally always preach speed, 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 this is a match where you need to see that sight on the target. And that's all that has to happen. It doesn't have to be crazy. Don't think crazy slow. On the plate rack, I just need to see that dot on the plate. Because when we miss, like I did when I tried to compete against Dan Horner, when we miss, it's because you're pulling the trigger when the dot's not on the plate. So just see it on the plate. Man, it feels like it takes longer, but it really doesn't. Stage 2, which is the bullseye stage. Now there, I do want to center that plate, center that dot a little bit more than normal, because I only got a 6-inch circle. So I want to see that centered a little bit and make sure it's stopped. And then, but then conversely, on the last stage, the DH3 stage, we have 12-inch targets. This is where you make your money. So a 12-inch target, I've only got to be on the edge. Like the middle means nothing. I just got to hang the edge. So if I see dot on plate, if I see sight on plate, that's good enough. Like if you're going to try to push it a little bit, that's the stage to push it on. Get your speed there. The other ones, get your hits.
So one last question, and then we'll open it up to other people. But you just said before you got into talking about the specifics for your match, but in USPSA, it's speed, speed, speed. So how do you get somebody to get to that level of speed and not missing?
I think those are mutually exclusive things. So you gotta, and this, I've changed my teaching philosophy over the years on this, and we've probably talked about this over the years. But the bulk of my private students is probably 35 to 55-year-old, and they've got the kids out of the house and decent job, and they finally have time for a hobby, and Now they want to come shoot, and they're freaking slow. And what I've come to realize over my years of experience is they've lived to be 35 years old because they're not dumb. Like, they don't run with scissors, and they don't play with fireworks, and et cetera, et cetera. So running aggressively with a gun is weird to them, and they're hesitant to shoot quick and shoot and transition fast and run hard with the firearm. So teaching those guys speed is hard. It's really hard. And I think that's why all your tactical courses are, we're going to work on a slow pie corner technique. And like, when would you ever slow pie corner your house if you were a homeowner and your kid was in the other room? Like, you ain't slow pie cornering shit. Like, you're charging the corner and get in there. But they teach it slow because the tactical people think it's cool, and the instructors can do it safely because it's slow. Well, USPSA shit ain't slow, man. It's hard to do it slow. But to teach somebody to shoot fast, that's the hard part. Like, how do you teach, 15, 20 splits or 18, 20 or 25 transitions? Like, that's the difficult stuff of what you and I are trying to do. Like, for law enforcement, tactical world, that doesn't matter. But for what we're trying to do, like, when a GM comes to me, or a master GM guy comes to me for a class, I'm always like, oh shit, all right, time to tighten up. What am I going to do now? Because you got to bring the heat. It gets into minutia, and the minutia is, there's minutia within the minutia for the stuff that I think about, and it's not easy to do. And that's why your average dude doesn't. That's why they always say, get your accuracy, hits will come. That's bullshit. But that's what people say.
I hear you. So, okay, we'll open it up to any questions. If someone has a question, bring it on. I know we went a little long, we went a little bit past an hour, but if anyone's still tuning, I see there's some people still tuning. But if you do have a question for Shannon or for me, now's the time to do it while we're wrapping up. So, Shannon, you said like 100 matches you're going to be doing. You're working full time at SIG. You still have time for private lessons.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, thus far, that's not interfered with SIG, especially on the local level. And this week's a good example. So we just had our first event. We finished up Sunday. I was home Sunday night. Monday and Tuesday, figuring out logistics and awards and paying people and getting shit done. And today we get emails out for the winners. So, nothing's scheduled this weekend. So Thursday and Friday, if a local class were available, that might be something I would do. So yeah, still available is not a violation of my contract, and we'll see how it goes.
How are you training? I mean, you said you're going to be doing a lot of open. You're going for the world shoot. Where do you find time to fit in to do training?
Or that. My lazy ass should be out doing some training. I'm working on a local farmer guy that's a friend of mine, because I don't really have any place that's close anymore. It's a couple hours to a decent range for me. So I'm working with a local farmer to build just a little small range on his spot and have a place to train. So hopefully that works out, because I really want to world shoot South Africa 25. I'll be senior by then, old man, but it's a place I'd like to go, and it gives me a goal, because I've been truthfully a little lax on goals the last couple of years in terms of why I want to shoot. And so this kind of gives me a goal to get back at it and put some effort in, put some training in, and bring back the old fire and get back at it.
Well, I had a person, I don't know who it was, a local guy, but we would always be talking about stuff about like Florida State or nationals, and his saying was never underestimate Shannon, because he's one of these guys that just you're not watching him throughout the whole match, and the next thing you know, he's won the match. So he always has the potential whenever he shows up to win something. So never underestimate him. So yeah, never underestimate you. I think you'll get it done. But I want to thank you for coming on the show and talking about SIG. I'm looking forward to getting to my first one and going through that experience. Hopefully you'll be there for that because it sounds like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be all of them, man. And it's not public knowledge yet, even though this is live, but we're looking at Deep 50 in June. And I think I'm 99.4% sure that's going to be a go. So that's pretty close to you. Have you been out there yet? Deep 50?
I've been the previous version of Deep 50.
Okay.
What it was before Matt took over.
Yeah. So we're looking there in June. So that's your opening, man. No excuse not to be there.
I'll be nice and hot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It'll be blazing hot with the Panthers. Last time I taught a class there this year or last year. And there was a frickin' panther on the side of the road on my way in, like outside the gate. They have the high fences.
Right.
He was on the road side of the high fence, so he meandered his way around somehow. But that was an impressive creature, man. It looked like a kitty cat that banged Hulk Hogan or something. His deltoids were ginormous.
Nice. Yeah, that's Florida, people. We got alligators. We got anacondas, and we've got panthers.
Yeah,
so we got it all down here.
Homie don't play the anacondas, so that's why I carry shotguns.
That's right. And Florida's a great state. Thank you. But again, thank you for coming on the show tonight. Thank you all for watching and listening and listening to the podcast because this will be going out as a podcast as well. So remember, guys, to subscribe to the YouTube channel or subscribe to the podcast, whichever one. That way, it helps me bring on great guests like Shannon because they know about the show. So again, Shannon, thank you very much.
Thanks, brother.
All right, everybody. Good night.